Not bad. And that's without those. Anyway, welcome on in, everybody. It's Addy back with a build guide for this season of Arcana and Torchlight Infinite Season 7. And I've got for you today, I have Thunder Spike Erika. This was my league starter. Technically, I league started Iris too. I played her for all of 120 seconds. I saw the melee attack from the spirit, and I noped out of there and went to Erika, and here we are. As you saw, we're pushing about 67 billion on this current setup. This is not our maximum damage, however. This is with life source in, and we do not have a source of Bull's Rage currently. If we swap into the Bull's Rage max damage setup and drop the life source, we're pushing like 80 to 90 million damage on this build right now. And I just want to go ahead and walk you through how we got there, what the build looks like, give you maybe a map preview, and I also want to show you just some things that you can use in the beginning and how to gear this at the start of your maps and how to progress it. So let's go ahead and we'll start off with the actual passive tree. For this build, I've gone God of Hunting. Our sub is Blade Runner, and our second sub is going to be Warlock. Originally, the sub here was Ronin, but Warlock is hard not to use. Between what it does for fitting in extra auras, giving you skill levels, it's really hard not to use this tree, unfortunately. For the actual build itself, we just go for damage, attack speed, dexterity. Numbed is huge. We're going for electric for the 50% numb chance and the 20% additional damage. We have rushed. This gives us 30% additional if we've moved more than 5, and we're constantly moving on Erika. Next, we're going to be taking conductive. This changes our numbed to give it 10% additional damage as its base effect. Normally it's 4. This increases that by 2.5, and we are scaling numbed stacks and numbed effect to make this super good. Next is going to be quick advancement. Unless you have this on a slate, you're probably not ever going to click queer angle. It's just, this is too good. It's too good. Again, we've gone for attack, crit. If you've got crit anywhere on your tree, you click it. Crit rating, crit damage, you click all of it all the time. We went ahead and got all 4 of these capstone medium talents or legendary talents that we have over here. So this gives us additional numb stacks. This gives us pin for crits. We've got attack speed per dexterity, and we've got multi-strike stuff on there. Warlock. This is pretty much the stock standard Warlock that you're going to be using on any character. We've got Indifference to give us +2 to all of our skills. It's insane. Off the beaten track, +4 to our supports, and this is what lets us fit in more auras. And then here, there's a whole lot of garbage in this tree, so it's pretty much like damage, attack speed, damage, crit. We pick up some life and some life regain. Getting a little bit of life regain on the build is really nice. I did opt to put, if I had another point, I would put it here. We get +1 all skills for a total of +3 out of this tree. And then lastly, we're getting this node here, which is just some extra damage. There's not really much else to put here, and we do have to get up to 32 points anyway. So that is what we've got going on there. If you need resistances, you can pick up a little bit right there. It's not a lot, but it's something. For slates, for our pedigree, we have this is what we have. We've got transition, and we have well matched. This specific pedigree was not this much. For pedigrees, I'll go ahead, and once we get to like how to gear up your character, I will go through how to set up your pedigree search to find things that will work for you. On the slate here, I've got additional main hand damage, and then I've got additional damage if I've moved for 2 seconds after using a mobility skill. We're constantly moving on Erika to keep our stalker stacks up, so that's not even a problem. We've got max damage, and then this is giving us another numb stack, which is amazing. Super important, this one right here. You definitely want a copy of this on the slate. After that, we've just got movement for fervor rating and shadow here with some, damage and whatever we can get on the bottom. And lastly, this is a 10% applied to 10% additional damage applied to life, and then a 10% additional damage against cursed enemies. This is a pretty big, this is pretty good. Pretty good. If you want to go to a quick price check on each of these in their base form. Let's see. So you can get this is a super good slate to be picking up for 20 to 40 feet. Super good. Fervor and shadow quantity. That's going to run you about 170 to 200. Let's see. This one costs about 200. And then lastly, this one about 200 as well. At the beginning, what I would suggest is that this one you just buy straight up because it's so cheap. Here you want to get, you could go for you could go for one of these mods if you want to. You could go for instead of getting two, you just get one mod here. I started out with just like one shadow and whatever I could get. I had 2+1 shadow slates and I progressed to this point. This is definitely not the end game of the slate setup. It's just slates are rough right now. Slates are real rough, and it's just I'm not happy with the state of cube and slates and any of that right now. But that's just what we've got. For the actual character and how I have it set up in its current state, we are running an opening heart. This is corroded with 5 max life. This could be an extra 30% crit damage, and it probably should be. I'm just lazy and haven't bought one. We're using a Mourner's Shadow with this doesn't do anything. I failed my corrosion again. Pretty low, like mid rolls on it. These when I bought it, it was, I believe, 12 or 1300. These have come down considerably, and now they are 500. This is your end game amulet. You're not taking this off. We've just got life dex damage, but really standard non-priceless belt going on here. This ring is a 5 property damage ring, and I will explain that later. So we've got our crit damage, crit rating. This is a triple resistance ring with damage mods to help us get this up. I may swap this flat lightning over to life. I may do that. We'll see. I'm undecided. We're currently using a +2 shadows crafted Truth Seeker dagger. It is priceless, with the implicit being 5% armor penetration. For the actual weapon itself, we're currently sitting at a 1111 DPS with 7.2 base crit. We rolled for Gear Fizz, and then Gear Lightning. Subs are Gear Critical, Gear Attack Speed, and then +2 shadows. The only mod that we currently have on this weapon that is an ultimate affix is the +2 shadows, as you can see. We don't have double damage. We don't have any of that. And then we don't have anything up here either. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have the funding to test all of the ultimate affixes to see if maybe they edge one of these out. I don't have the funding for that. It would be so much money to do that. Maybe later on I can get a better test for you all, but right now I've just gone with the best dagger I can craft. The best baseline dagger I can craft, and then +2 shadows is what we hit. We hit this first. Had I hit double damage first, I would have kept it. So either one of these is what I would go for when moving into the priceless category. Before I crafted that, I had a non-priceless full T1 sword, and this is what I used for a long time. This is easier to craft than full T1 here because you have restricted mods that you can roll on weapons that are not priceless, which are item level 100. And then we just corroded it for some penetration. In regard to the dream talking, we have 8% elemental and erosion resistance penetration. I tested this against both the armor mitigation and the +1 shadow. This was better than +1 shadow. I believe armor mitigation was technically better than this one, but I went through like 60 freaking dream talkings trying to get it back on there. It didn't come back, so we just took this one. You'll have to go through and test those yourself to determine which is going to be best for you. Now here, this is a big one. We're using a Flaming Evil, right? This is an incredible chest. We corroded ours to have +1 to skills. If you got one that was not corroded, these have definitely gone up in price recently. Oh no, they've come back down. Corroded, no. Okay, so these were down. These were all the way down to like 30 for uncorroded versions. They've since ticked up in popularity in the last day or two, so now they're a little bit more expensive for their base forms. But it's a huge amount of our damage, and I will show you why. And that's why I said this ring is a 5 property damage ring, because this 22 fire resistance is getting multiplied by 2.5 and added to our critical damage. It's so like this ring is a massive amount. In regard to that, on our packed spirits, I have 2 attack spirits, 2 attack battle spirits, and then I have 1 defensive battle spirit that has like resistance and, you know, reduced damage taken and whatnot. A lot of our nodes I've replaced with fire resistance on fates. So we have all 9 of our small fates are fire resistance, and all 3 of our medium fates are also fire resistance. And that is just to go with this to get all, that's just converting all into crit damage. If we take a look at our actual skill right now, you'll see that we're currently sitting at 890 crit damage on the skill. And then we're at 74% crit chance, not counting our fervor stacks. So we're not quite crit capped yet, but we're almost there. And then I just want to point out, I'm not currently using my Ralph Journey. I've bounced back and forth between Ralph Journey and non-priceless full T1, and I right now do not have enough decks for Ralph's Journey to beat full T1. So you'll just have to look at your dex number and determine that yourself. Ralph's Journey is fairly expensive right now. They're like, this roll here, this is a max roll on both ends. So 22. And then this is 8. T1 8. Why does it not want to do it? It's this thing. I don't know why. Yeah, so like max roll, the max roll that are just sitting in my inventory right now, they're like 2,800. And even the absolute cheapest ones are still going to be pretty pricey, sitting at like 1,500, pushing 16, 18 really fast. So definitely, if you're on the lower end of decks, if you're like 300-400 decks like I am, you probably don't want to do that. And I would love to test out the dexterity fates without swapping the chest, just to see if that would work better with the boots. But that is a lot of money to commit to that, so I will do that a bit later. I'm not sure if Ralph's chest is going to be the in-game option for this. It might be. I don't know. Currently, that chest is like anywhere between 4 and 6,000 right now. It's pretty insane. So yeah, let's just double check that chest right now. Last I saw, they were like 6K. 52, 53, 54. Yeah, it's super expensive. So unfortunately, I've not been able to test that. I do apologize. On the shield, this is the only shield you're ever going to use. Try to get at minimum, you want to get this corroded. If you can get this double corroded, that's even better. We've got some thunder manipulators here. These are going to be your best gloves. Going for skills, this is the link setup that I'm currently using. I've checked this link by link to be sure that this is the optimal one for me. Multi-strike is always going to be on there. Haunt is non-negotiable. And because we're so heavy into the crit, this is also an amazing support for us. We recently upgraded to a double Thunder Spike setup. So we've got activation medium track. This is fairly expensive. I think I paid $3,100 for the track that I have on here. Haunt, voltage, crit damage, and then we're using a Thunder Spike Noble. This I need to upgrade. We could get another 25% on our numbed effect, which is going to be a big boost to our damage. And then this is also only a level 17, so we could be getting a little bit tiny more damage out of this. This doesn't really do that much damage though. This is just an enabler to get the best possible num stacks for this to do damage. I do have a activation medium for this. I have a still attack. I don't know. I kind of just prefer it to not be on still attack. It's personal preference at this point. Which one you're gonna like though. Spiral Spike, we've got Precision Strike, and we've got Quick Mobility. I could probably take one of these out if I deemed it necessary and swap in an Emergency Avoidance, which gives us a stacking buff for evasion. That'll be personal preference. We're using Life Source, Activation Medium Life. These are super, super cheap. I've only got a 77 and I think I paid like 5 fee for this. With residues and auto charge, this is astounding. It does so much work for you. Electrocute, we've got it on activation medium. Multi-strike with Terrain of Malice and cooldown reduction. We're currently on 3 auras. And we don't have any of the good supports for our auras either. As you can see, we've got like a superpower aura amp, and like we're just using this. We're using this like to get our mana cost down essentially. So we've got a precise electric conversion. We need to upgrade to a precise fearless. Dude, it's 8 attack speed. I'll get it whenever I get it. We're using a summon Fire Magus. I've jumped back and forth between Fire Magus, Thunder Imbue, and Thunder Magus. Right now, for me, because we're so heavily invested in the crit damage, the Fire Magus with a superpower beats out both of the other 2 options. Eventually, we're going to get our swiftness in, but I've got to find some mana reduction to do that. Now, as far as how I would try to gear out this build when I'm first starting TH, I've gotten a collection of things that I would suggest using. A Farewell Desire can be bought for anywhere from 2 to 10 fee. You'll use that basically until you craft out your tier 1 sword. I did test Farewell extensively against the T1 sword, and the T1 sword won out every single time. Another nice combo that you could use is going to be Blinding Bracers with Crow's Plume. Crow's is super cheap. It gives you blind on hit, paralysis on hit, and it combos nicely with this because you'll do additional damage against them blinded enemies as well as taking reduced damage. These are very good starter items. Blinding Bracers can be got for as little as 1 fee. Crow's Plume is also a 1 fee item. This Despise Shadows, you can get this out of a treasure trove. You'll be using this until you get your Mourner Shadow, more than likely. Opening Heart is your helmet of choice. You're just always going to be using that. Until you get your Flaming Evil. There are some cheap options. If you'd like to go more on the damage heavy side, you can get a Void Embankment. Right now, these are less than 10 fee. And if you'd like to go more on the defensive side, you can get a Martyr Staff. It gives you a ton of % life, gives you some nice injury buffer, and it is also a 1 fee item. As far as your non-legendary slots, you're just looking to craft them for as high of a tier as you can get with your Flame Sand until you're ready to craft your tier 1s. For example, these are the gloves that I was using before I swapped into my Thunder Manipulators. I never even made tier 1 gloves. I just used these up until that point. And I didn't really try for anything specific except on the resistances. I tried to cap my res, but otherwise I just rolled it until it hit something that was good for me. Nothing specific. As long as it was like for the build, I kept it. Like this could have been life and I would have kept it. This could have been life and I would have kept it. This could have been flat phase. I would have kept it. That's whatever works for the build when you're rolling out your tier 2 starter gear. Just get it to a workable state and throw it on. And that's really all you've got to do. For candles that I'm currently using, I'm using Hardened. It's not the best candle mod for damage, but I do want the Hardened effect. And then I have +1 shadow quantity on this next one here. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of setups that you can do. when you're searching for gear for this build. Specifically, let me show you the soul candle. We're going to do a filtered search here, and there are a lot of different things that will work for this build. Let me just go through the list and I'll show you line by line things that work for this. All right, so the first thing that's going to work for us is technically this works. This mod here that adds flat damage to the weapon. This works even better when you're using a this is better especially early when you're using a desire. Not so much when you have a crafted weapon. The numbed effect, I don't know, how much does the numbed effect go up to? Is it 30%? 30% chance, 30% numbed effect is pretty good. Definitely a usable candle. Let's see. We've got a couple of supports that you can use. The crit damage support is usable. Hardened, like I'm using, is very good. Attack focus. We actually have so much crit. We actually have so much crit that attack focus is actually a damage buff. The unlucky crit's not a problem. We're so high on our crit rating that we're still critting majority of the time, and this is a workable support for us. Other things that you can get the blessing mod so that you're getting blessings when you're standing still. This is great. Another mod that you could use on a candle is going to be oh, I just lost it. Oh, shadow. Of course, your shadow quantity. +1 shadow is always going to be something that you can do. Additional shadow strike damage is also a roll that you can get. It's not much, but it's something. Just know that just go through them, find the ones that work for you, and that's all you really got to do. And then I hope I've got this put together still. I want to show you specifically the pedigree search. I do have it put together. Give me just a moment and I'll get that pulled up for you. All right, so this is how we look for a pedigree for this build. We go pedigree of the gods as our base item. And then I have a condition group that I've made. It has these all listed: focus strike, well matched, transition, peculiar vibe, gravity, indifference, sprinkle, trade-off. What else could go in there? There's some other stuff that could go in there.
Buy or sell. Help yourself to the catalog.
And then I just adjust this as I need to. So I would take off indifference since we have indifference. Take, just put in, this is just a baseline for you. There are some other things that we could put in there. One option is we could look for a pedigree that has this mod on it. What's it called? Quick advancement or queer angle. Either one of those would be nice to have on the pedigree. So I would go in here, pull this up, type in queer, throw that on, type in quick advancement, throw that on, and then just do a search. Looking for 1 or 2 mods. It's up to you. And that's the only one that's available right now. Actually, that one's really good. Quick advancement, transition, and lightning skills. That's a really good pedigree. And it's got +1 lightning. Jesus, is that better for me? Wait a minute. We'll deal with that later. But that's really all you got to do. And then I've also got this down here. So like if you're looking for 1 mod pedigrees, what you can do is put in 1 mod. And then I've got another condition group set up looking for at least 1 of these mods. So percent dex, plus to skills, additional damage, stuff like this. And then we get a ton of stuff. So this is a well matched with additional main hand damage and movement speed when you have a shield, less than 100 feet. Here's a queer angle with damage to things in proximity with some attack and spell block, 100 feet, pretty good. Peculiar vibe with main hand damage. And then I will go ahead and I'll put this up for you just to see. That way you can do that. And when you set up these search groups, just know that your search history goes away whenever you close the game. Your search groups do not. These will stay. So this is the first search group. And again, this is not a perfect search group. You can just add and remove things as you need. And then this is the search group for when you're looking for a single mod on here from that group. And then you want some extra stuff to go along with it. This is going to be your cheaper route typically. This is going to be your more expensive route. Also, I messed up one thing. When I first searched for this, when I looked for 2, I was looking for both 2 of these and a mod from that pool. So if I only look for 2 of these mods, there you go. So there you go. Sprinkle quick advancement, 1,000 fee, 1,000. We've got one for 500 here that's got quick transition and quick advancement on it. So yeah, just go through, find what you need. Bada bing, bada boom. Just a quick map demo. I haven't done much mapping, so I don't really have my defenses set up for mapping right now. Defenses are something that I will be working on a bit later. This is a Time Mark 8 Profound map. You can see damage is pretty good for Profound. It's not the greatest. We're not like triple digit. We're not in like the hundreds of billions yet. But I mean, this is pretty good. I think this is pretty good for Profound. What do you think? So yeah, that's what a map looks like on this currently. And again, this is not my highest damage possible setup, but I do believe that Life Source is going to be better for your mapping. There are cases where I would take it off and replace that with Bull's Rage to bump our damage up by another 30% or so, but that is not this. All right, map is pretty much cleared. We're almost to the boss. We're taking damage, but you see our Life Source is proccing automatically and healing us, which is why I love having that on. And then here is our boss. Of course, I stood in his one shot, so that's on me. Don't stand in one shots, kids. That's the name of the game there. Don't stand in one shots. All right, and there is our bottom. And that is pretty much the build. If you've got any questions, feel free to stop by whenever I'm streaming, and I'll be more than happy to help, or you can drop a comment on the video. Yeah, and then I will be further testing this build to find things that work, don't work. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. And that's it. Oh, I do want to show you one thing. Before you're using the Thunder Spike setup, what you're going to be using instead is you're going to have Bull's Rage in. It'll have an activation medium multi-strike is what I was using on it. It will have a Wolf Halt battle, and it will have a Mass Effect. And that's how I have my Bull's Rage set up before I got rid of it. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Again, if you've got any questions, go ahead and drop them down below. Sorry if this was a bit rambly. I did a lot of testing because I wanted to be sure, since this is my first time playing Erika. I didn't want to direct people in the wrong direction. Hopefully that's appreciated. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.